All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Let's have some fun today. So later on, we have Russell Brand and Bill Maher debate capitalism. That is really, really interesting. One of the people in the debate is just off in La La Land. I can't wait to break that one down for you. We also have Donald Trump releases a new ad, which is absolutely brutal against Ron DeSantis. We'll talk about that. But also, I'm going to lead here in just a second with Fox News seemingly had an enlightenment moment about the Republican Party and about Donald Trump as a primary candidate versus a general election candidate. And it had to be a talking point from the top down because all of them immediately started parroting it. So there's a lot to say there. Before I continue, though, everybody click the like button. Click the subscribe button. We cracked that 1 million number. Trying to get to 2 million, dog. It's going to be a long climb. Very long climb, but we're ready for that climb. So click that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Also click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. And remember, you can always listen to the full show in audio form on Spotify. We release the full show as a podcast every day over on Spotify. And support the show on Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Keep us independent. Never talk to an advertiser, and that's because you guys have saved the show in the past, and you keep the show going now. So anyway, love all you. Thank you very much. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive into it here. So seemingly all at once, the Fox hosts had an awakening. They had an enlightenment moment. Like, oh, we have a problem on our hands for the Republican Party. So let's start with this clip. We got Steve Doocy and Brian Kilmeade. Now, I will say this. There is one part of their theory here, which I think is bonkers, and I'll explain it. But on the overarching point, I think they're absolutely correct. So let's dive into it, and I'll break it down.
It's interesting. We won't know the charges until next week. We do, Saul, though, are able to survey the political damage. We've heard a number of Republicans say the Democrats are trying to destroy Donald Trump. But we saw the poll that came out a couple of days ago. Donald Trump, when he's been talking about Alvin Bragg, his popularity has actually gone up. So I think there are some Democratic Party bosses who are thinking, all right, let's make Donald Trump a martyr. This is just my crazy theory. Let's make him a martyr. He'll win the primary, but ultimately he'll lose the general.
So the part of that that's totally untrue is that this is like a devious plot from Democratic bosses, that like the leaders of the Democratic Party are playing 5D chess, and they're like, oh, let's go after him knowing his numbers will go up in the Republican primary so that we can beat him in a general election. It is true that they think he's the most beatable candidate in a general because he is. But no, the attempt to go after him here is an attempt to take him down. They're not doing this thinking he's going to go up in the Republican primary and doing it because of that. But okay, so here we have one Fox host who is admitting Trump is a weak general election candidate. He's wrong about the particulars and that the Democratic bosses are trying to make him a martyr, etc. But he's right on that overarching point. Okay, now we have more.
A lot of people tell me that this indictment will solidify Trump's base and maybe expand Trump's base so that when we get to the primaries, Trump wins. Across the board, he wins because he's got that block of solid voters who will always stick with him. But then when you get to the general, he might not win because he's unpopular personally. How do you see that?
He goes on to basically agree, this guy. That's two. All right. Do we have more? I don't even know who these randos are on Fox Business Network, but let's see.
This question of the strength of this legal case, true, we haven't seen it, but if this is trying to dress this up into a campaign finance violation, I'm not aware that this has ever worked in court. What do you make of this charge from D.A. Bragg?
Yeah, this is obviously just a political stunt and a political hit job by leftists who are foaming at the mouth to take out the leader of their political opposition via the justice system. These liberals, they screech constantly, James, about threats to democracy, but they have no regard for fairness, and they don't care if the country's ripped apart at the seams. Now, I will say that I suspect this indictment will help Trump tremendously in the primary because it is going to rally conservative voters around him. However, it would hurt him in a general election. There aren't a whole lot of independent voters out there who already think that Trump is too bombastic and kind of unstable, who will suddenly be motivated to vote for him because of this indictment. And that is exactly what the Democrats and the media want. They would love for Trump to be the nominee this time around. Last time, they beat him with an uninspiring, elderly career politician who can barely get through a coherent sentence in the English language. That they think they can do it again. So this is the plan. They want Trump to be the nominee. The last thing they want is to run against Ron DeSantis.
Okay, I think that's probably right. At the margin, probably helps Trump.
Wow. All right. That's what? Are we on number 3? That was number 3. Do we have more?
All right, you've heard about this political storm enveloping one Donald J. Trump right now. It's not hurting him politically. Of course, even the rumor of this happening has him rocketing in the polls as the party rallies around him. Even those who might already are challenging him for the White House or the Republican nomination have been rallying around the notion that this is all unfair, what he's going through. And he's raised $4 million in the roughly 24-hour period from when the indictment was first known to now. Charlie Gasparino examining that and how donors in the party are responding to all of this. He is, after all, we call him our money bags. He is always well connected to money, and he has a lot of
I call him Moneybag Yo. Charlie Gasparino is Moneybag Yo.
himself. So, Charlie, help me through this. What's going on here?
Well, I mean, I think you see a dichotomy between the base and the donor class on this. The base is energized, right? The base is saying our guy is being unfairly prosecuted and, you know, not without some merit there, given who's prosecuting him and how and why. And obviously, we got to see what the indictment says. But, you know, years old charges of hush money to a porn star is not the sort of stuff that that a lot of Republican base donors are gonna like freak out about with Donald Trump. They're gonna want the base voters. They're gonna want Donald Trump, and they're gonna applaud him, and it's energizing the base and likely to make him the Republican nominee. That's what the donor class is saying, and the donor class right now, Neil, is up in arms because they believe in their hearts, and I spoke with a lot of them over the last couple of days, that Alvin Bragg, a partisan Democrat, is doing this purely to elect Donald Trump because he's the least likely guy to beat Joe Biden in 2024, that the Democrats desperately want Donald Trump to run against Biden because that's the one guy they think they can beat. They can't beat Ron DeSantis. They couldn't beat Glenn Youngkin if he jumped in. These are really smart, polished politicians, and they have good records to run on. Nikki Haley would be tough to beat. Mike Pompeo is a smart guy, but Donald Trump they think they can beat, and they think this is all that Bragg is doing. I mean, he's literally bootstrapping a bunch of state charges to create a federal indictment. It's to create a federal violation, of the campaign finance laws, if you can believe what's in the press. Obviously, we got to see what's coming. You said before it's a 30 count indictment. We don't know if it's 1 felony and 29 misdemeanors. We do know that David Pecker, as you know, the National Enquirer chief was interviewed. Okay, that might mean there's other women involved here, including the catch and kill story that involved Trump's alleged affair with a Playboy model. That the catch and kill was done by the National Enquirer. So that people are starting to speculate that could be in the indictment as well. But again, it's more of the same stuff, and people are shaking their head. This is what you're going to put him in jail for? Again, energizes the base. It is roiling the donor class, and because they desperately want a Ron DeSantis, a Youngkin, somebody else other than Trump, because they.
Fascinating. So again, everybody's repeating the same theory. By the way, I only showed you 4 of the videos. There's way more on this page. How many videos are there here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 videos here where they all say the same thing. Now, again, the part that's incorrect is that this is like the Machiavellian, ruthlessly intelligent Democratic bosses pulling the strings. You know, they know they'll make him a martyr. They know they'll make him go up in the polls in the primary, and then they get him to the general, or we can defeat him. No, they're actually, Alvin Bragg is actually trying to take him down, right? This isn't like they're not playing that game where they're looking out into the future and extrapolating and, predicting all these moves. No, that's not true. But the part that is definitely true is Donald Trump is a strong primary candidate, by far and away the favorite. but he is the weakest in the general election. And this is the first time I've ever heard Fox News acknowledge that. They've never acknowledged that before, and now all at once, boom, they're all acknowledging it. That like, hey man, we are in a lot of trouble in a general election. That's not to say it's impossible for him to win in a general election, but it is highly, highly, highly unlikely. It really is. And it's kind of amazing to see Fox News, all of the Fox News hosts, all at the same time, sort of state the obvious. I mean, they are having a real light bulb moment here that Republicans are screwed. They're in a really, really bad position. Because, yeah, 2016 Trump was a force of nature, but in 2018, Republicans lost. In 2020, Republicans lost. In 2022, Republicans far underperformed what they were supposed to do. All with this guy as the figurehead of the party. He is just independent, moderate, normie, swing voter repellent. That's what he is. And looks like those chickens are coming home to roost. So, interesting. Some light bulb moments going off at Fox News, and this is an instance where they're at least partly correct. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.